attended a lot of lectures yesterday and also saw the workshops. It really, it's an eye-opener, and it unleashes the power of our imagination, actually, because you can imagine so many things after this experience. We did experience a lot from the entertainment aspects of virtual reality out here in the different talks and the different displays below. But I'm here to touch upon the development aspects of VR. Since I work for the United Nations, the International Telecommunication Union, this is a very interesting emerging field for us, because we are also exploring the uses of virtual reality in the area of development. I have a presentation, so just to familiarize you, the UN right now is working towards the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the reality. People are still hungry today, so goals like no hunger, no poverty, good health, well-being, this is the reality today. So the global leaders, they got together in 2015. So these were the governments, the private sector, civil society, technical community, and decided that we have to work together to eradicate poverty, to end hunger and things like that, and we have to work together to do this. This is called famously the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Of course, since we are the UN agency that looks at information and communication technologies within the UN system, we believe that ICTs can fast forward the SDGs, the achievement of SDGs. And many sustainable development goals will not be met if ICTs don't change the pace at which they are being met. To give you a few examples, in Ghana, mobile phones are being used by women to monitor their pregnancy and also the well-being of their children. So many places in sub-Saharan Africa, mobile phones are providing a lot of young children with the means to, reach out to the world of knowledge, get books to read more, which this kind of access they never really had. This is a very interesting story of a lady who actually was trained in a telecenter. She was provided digital skills, and from a street sweeper, she actually went on to being an entrepreneur, and she was taught to do e-commerce online. And this is just few of the other examples. For example, this person, he used to do a guessing game of the water levels in a region in Africa, but now he has several apps which he can use to determine the water levels. So these were just to give you a few examples. So ICTs are a key enabler and a means to implement and achieve the SDGs. And this is our prime focus for the time being. So the main, I'll skip to the next one. I already spoke about ITU. We are a specialized agency. We have 193 member states, and we are one of the few UN agencies that actually includes academia, private sector, civil society in their deliberations. I'll move to the World Summit on the Information Society. This is a UN process that was initiated globally in 2003 and 2005 because a need was felt that the world comes together to have some guidelines regarding information and communication technologies. So guidelines for e-learning, for capacity building, for cybersecurity. So these were the issues that were really coming up at that time for media, for ethical dimensions of information society. There was a huge dialogue which actually converted into 18 action lines. And these action lines are somewhat like the SDGs for us, where we strive to work towards each one of these action lines. So what do? We work towards effective implementation. So there is a WSIS forum every year which takes stock of what has been done globally with respect to these WSIS action lines. We have a stock-taking database where the global community submits their projects. We also have a WSIS prize to acknowledge and award the work being done everywhere. And of course, measurement is extremely crucial. So we also have several agencies working together to make sure that the progress is measurable and the impact is measurable. I have a small, very short movie about the, can they hear it? Or maybe I can move on if they can't hear it. Okay.
The United Nations proposed a new kind of global dialogue on the impact. Since the invention of the first electronic communication systems in the 1830s, the world has been changing. Information and communication technologies, ICTs, are evolving at an ever faster pace, reshaping the world around us. In 1998, the United Nations proposed a new kind of global dialogue on the impact of technology, called the World Summit on the Information Society, or WSIS for short. This meeting was the first UN summit-level discussion open to all. We wanted to hear from everyone, everywhere. Because if technology is really going to change our lives for the better, no one can be left out of the conversation. Together, the world agreed on a blueprint to guide the equitable access and ongoing development of ICTs. In the decades since, these principles have shaped global efforts to harness technology to drive development and foster innovation. Today, the WSIS process is an ongoing, inclusive global dialogue aimed at ensuring we fully leverage the power of ICTs to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. And every year, the WSIS Forum gives the global community the chance to take stock of achievements and remaining gaps.
So this was just a short snippet to show exactly what the WSIS process is doing. I already spoke about the WSIS action lines and the SDGs. So the UN, we work with 32 UN agencies in this process. ITU has a natural leadership over it. And we developed this matrix because since the global UN community is working towards the Sustainable Development Goals, we have marked each one of the SDGs with the different WSIS action lines. And you can find this mapping, very interesting mapping online, which maps each one of them and showcases how the different SDGs are actually impacted by the different ICTs. Now, just to move on to the WSIS Forum, it will be held from the 12th to 16th of June in Switzerland, Geneva. You are most invited to, welcome to be there because it is open. You just have to register and you can be there if you are working in the area of ICT for development. We get more than 100 ministers, ICT ministers. We already have around 60 confirmed ministers you can see on our website because we want ICTs to remain a crucial element in the dialogue, global dialogue in SDGs. There are several partnership opportunities that are available. We added the component of TEDx in the forum. So if you're interested in listening to TED Talks, it's free because it's a part of the WSIS Forum. You're most welcome to attend. This year, we have added the element of a hackathon. So it will be in the area of health. That is interesting because university students will be with us in the WSIS Forum looking at how they can develop an application in the area of health. We also award prizes, like I already said. Also, so why are we here? We are here because we are partnering with the World VR Forum since last year. We had the first World VR event at the WSIS Forum in 2016. where we had a virtual reality cafe, and it was really about storytelling, about experiencing development in a different way. It was about different stories that we could see, like stories for underprivileged children, going through a geography class or a history lesson, stories about how VR can actually help people with disability, how VR can actually help in education and in health. In the WSIS stock-taking database as well, we have several stories that have been submitted. There is a story from the Oman government where they are using VR in some of their projects. There is a story from a project in Karachi, Pakistan, where they are using VR for phobia, to treat phobia patients. There is a story submitted from the government of Serbia about how they are using VR in their national museums to actually enhance the experience of the people there. There are stories from Malaysia, Mexico, and several others. You can visit the stock-taking website to have a look at these stories. So in 2016, like I said, we had, these are some pictures from the event here. I don't know if Salar is here. He could explain a bit about what he did.
Sure,
Salar, sorry, I didn't see you. So for the 2017 edition, also we are planning to do something exciting. We have a VR stream. Salar, maybe you could explain a bit more about what you're planning for this year.
Sure, and again I want to share how great it was to be at the WSIS last year, because for us it was a total new crowd and new people, and it was the first experience for most of the delegates.
Yes.
And there were indeed ministers from all around the world, from the Emirates, from Iran, all over the world. It was very interesting for us to confront them with VR, as they'd never seen this before, and we could see the interest growing to even see implementation at the government level for education, for instance. So this year, indeed, we have an educational program. We want to use synchronized devices that allow a teacher to give a class in VR, for instance. And so we are working on bringing a school from Switzerland, actually from Le Régent, which is next to this building, who came to visit, to come to WSIS Forum and have a class in virtual reality, and to show how you can teach by experience. Because instead of saying, I remember this, I remember learning this, you can say, I remember being there. So we think that it's really great for the kids, because learning by experience is a great way to enhance the awareness. And what we're also working on is to go in Africa and to do the same in Africa, and also to show that nevertheless, where you are, you can have high-level education. So this is what we're working on. We'll be also having a new VR exhibition with only content which is relevant to the SDGs that Gitanjali just explained. And finally, we'll have a workshop on VR for education. So we really look forward to that. It's a great collaboration, and it's really raising awareness to some people that we would never not heard about it otherwise. So.
Thank you, Salar. It's about not leaving anyone behind and giving the exposure and experience to everybody, about this revolutionary technology. Thank you for this partnership. I'd like to now invite Mr. Bilal Jamousi, who also works with me at the ITU. He is the head of the study groups that are actually doing a lot of work on VR. Bilal, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Gitanjali and Salar. It's a real pleasure to be with you today. I've enjoyed the past couple of days. I've learned a lot about VR, AR, augmented reality, etc. In addition to what Gitanjali shared with you in terms of the WSIS process and the exposure and visibility that this event is giving to the VR community, there are a number of technical study groups in the ITU in the standardization sector. In particular, the study group that brought H264 video coding, H265 video coding, some of you might relate to that, is now working also on immersive life experience, so which includes all of the VR, AR, etc. It's a very active working group. It is led by the industry, NTT, and like this? No, the antenna. I'm holding the antenna. How's that? Okay, thank you. So the study group, this question in particular is led by the industry. So we have experts from Japan, from NTT, we have experts from Huawei Technologies and various other companies that are active in the study group. And as Gitanjali mentioned, the ITU provides a unique platform where you have the industry, but you also have the governments and the academia. And so the standards that come out of the ITU provide not only the technical aspects of the standard, but they also touch on the regulatory aspects and how to enable the market to adopt new technologies like virtual reality. And as you mentioned, some of these events bring 70, 80, 100 ministers, and a lot of those ministers and telecom regulators are now being exposed to VR as a new communication medium. And so the ITU has evolved from 150 years ago when it was founded to do the telegraph network. That was the initial ITU, International Telegraph Union, but it has evolved. Every time there is a new technology, the ITU evolved with it, and now we are really at the cutting edge of a new era of communication through VR, and so the telecom regulators need to understand it. So things like basic definition of what it is, when it comes out from the ITU as a recommendation, it provides a neutral definition that the whole community, the international community, agrees on, which could be an enabler to providing some regulations to enable the market to use this technology, in addition to the technical specifications like the H.264 coding, for example. So we're very excited about this. I want to congratulate Salar and the whole team for a very, really excellent forum. I look forward to the continued collaboration through the WSIS forum, but also as more industry gets involved here, we would like them to also use the ITU as a platform for developing international standards, international regulations that would enable this new market. Thank you.
Thank you, Bilal. Thank you very much for listening in, and we hope that we were able to also, spark this little idea about exploring also the area of VR for development. All of you are doing great work, and we would welcome all sorts of ideas. And please join us at the WSIS Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you.